Hello and welcome to my channel. A little while ago I was gifted these Triffid miniatures. They were designed and printed by the Giblets. They make a lot of rare science fiction items, so check them out. I've been wondering what to do with these guys for quite a while, and now I've figured it out. I'm going to combine them with some other elements and create a diorama. I measured and cut a piece of PVC board. I wanted this to feel organic, so I removed any straight edges and then cleaned it up. The sheet was 3D printed by Ender Toys, and they make a lot of terrain pieces. Because this was printed in PLA, it has some noticeable layer lines, so they needed filling and sanding. And then I went ahead and primed everything. And I also primed the Triffid while I was at it. I found some olive green in a spray can, so I used that to provide an even coating for the Jeep. This vehicle is supposed to look old, battered and broken. So to help with that effect, I dried with some white all over it, and this helped to make the paint look faded. There are a couple items of a different colour, including the seat, which I painted in brown to represent leather, and then the tyres were painted in black. This will be dulled down with a grey wash. There are some headlights, indicator lights and brake lights on this vehicle, and they all needed a splash of the appropriate colour. I've already added a white wash to the headlights, and I'm adding a drop of UV resin to each one, and that cures pretty quickly with a UV torch, and this will help to create the illusion that this vehicle has headlights. I just gave it another final dry brush to help aid the vehicle a little bit more. Black panel liner is ideal for those deep recessed areas, as it will help separate the fine details. And then, using a combination of dark brown and orange, I proceeded to add rust spots all over the vehicle, predominantly along the edges and where water will pool. This is also another great way to help sell the scale of the vehicle. Moving on to the base now, I've added part of the pavement and scored in the paving slabs, as well as the curb details, and now I'm going ahead and scoring in a drain. All this will help add additional interest to the diorama. I have a lot of acrylic paint that I don't use, so I'm going to splatter this stuff all over the base to help create some texture. It's fairly thin, so I need a brush to spread it out, and then to add some additional details I use a hard brush, and this works best as the paint begins to set. And then I put the base to one side to set, and now I can start on the base colours for the Triffids. And now the base is dried, it's time to finish it off. I covered the whole thing in dark grey, and then dry brushed it all in white, and this is where all that thick paint comes into its element, so that the brush has something to catch on. And now I can paint the grate in a gunmetal. Just tried a little bit of contrast amongst all that grey. I added on a light grey wash over the pavement before dabbing off all the excess paint with a tissue, and this separates the colours a bit. Adding some black panel liner to the grey helps give it some depth. Since we can't do it for real, we have to create the illusion. And that basically completes the base, so I just need a nice black trim around the edge and it's done. And now I can paint up the Triffids. There are 4 different designs altogether. Each one represents a different time period as they were seen. They go from the 50s all the way up to the noughties. Since they are plants, the colour scheme is pretty much green with a couple of coloured accents. I'll give you a quick run through of the different ones. The first one here is from the 1950s. It's fairly basic, but they do become more complex as the years go by. And this one's from the 1960s. The colourful one is from the 1980s. And the last one is from the noughties. It's now time to put it all together. This letterbox I got from one of Mantic Terrain crates, and it's a useful little addition to help set the scene. I'm using some brush on super glue to stick everything down. This gives me a greater degree of control. I just need to make sure I put the Jeep in the right way around. Disaster averted. Before I add the Triffids, I'm going to add on some overgrown grass. This is going on the base of the letterbox and around the drain, and this will help to sell the illusion of a post-apocalyptic world, as nobody's going around tidying things up anymore. I'm using some PVA glue, I add on some dead leaves, and most of these have accumulated in the guttering, but I will scatter some more about once I've added the Triffids. I'm not sure what this stuff is called, but it's basically like vines. I'm going to have it running through the Jeep, and it's going to be glued into place with PVA glue. I really want to sell the illusion that things are overgrown and have died off. I even have some of this stuff going through the broken windows, and I also place some around the wheel arches and underneath too. I've already pre-planned where the Triffids are going to go, and I'm starting with the eldest one at the back, and then I slowly move forward through the years until we get to the current iteration. I think this is the best way of showcasing the evolution of these classic monsters. And once I've added on a few additional details, we can seal it all in. And any matte sealer does the job. And that's another diorama completed and ready to show off. For a while I did consider putting these guys on their own separate bases, or simply putting them in a row and showing how they've changed through the years. But ultimately I decided they best served a diorama taking over the world. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if I can do it, so can you.